Tom Selleck seemed like the perfect husband and father. But in his 2024 memoir, he made a confession that stunned everyone. He called himself a flake who ghosted women and couldn't commit to love. He admitted to years of emotional problems and depression that nearly destroyed him. His friends thought they knew him. His fans believed the image, but the real Tom Selleck was hiding something much darker. What he revealed about his private struggles between 1967 and 1982 explains why his first marriage really failed. The truth is heartbreaking. Tom Selleck was born on January 29, 1945 in Detroit, Michigan, during a time when the world was still trying to recover from the pain of World War II. His father, Robert Dean Selleck, had just returned from the war where he had worked as a mechanic on B-29 bombers. While Robert was away, young Tom, his older brother, and their mother lived with relatives waiting for him to come back. When Robert finally returned in 1947, the family was back together, but money was tight. Robert worked in real estate but only got paid if he sold a house. Sometimes they made barely enough to get by. Still, their home was full of quiet strength and simple values. No big lectures, just actions. Tom would later say that his parents never gave long talks about right or wrong. They just lived it. In 1948, when Tom was only 3, the family packed everything they could fit into one car and moved across the country to Sherman Oaks, California. The GI Bill helped them put a down payment on a small home. It was a big leap of faith. They left behind Detroit's freezing winters and factory smoke, trading it for California's sunshine and fresh air. Back then, Sherman Oaks was a small suburb with only about 15,000 people, but it was just 10 miles from Hollywood. Tom's new world was filled with palm trees, ball games, and mountains instead of factory smoke. His father still struggled to earn steady money, sometimes making only $200 in a month. But the move planted something in Tom, a quiet resilience. By the time he graduated from high school in 1962, he was saving money by living at home and studying at Los Angeles Valley College. In high school, from 1959 to 1962, Tom stood out not for grades but for height and hustle. At 6 feet 4 inches, he dominated the basketball court, scoring around 12 points per game and catching the attention of college scouts. He wasn't a strong student. Most of his grades were C's and he didn't care much for homework, but his presence was impossible to ignore. He joined the Sigma Chi fraternity and played baseball too, living the typical California teenage life with drive-in movies and sunny afternoons. He almost flunked out of college because of it. In a moment of honesty during a 2024 interview, Tom admitted he barely applied himself in class, but he also discovered something else in those years. In 1965, a coach invited him to try acting. That moment changed everything. Long before the spotlight, Tom worked like any other kid in the 1950s. He delivered newspapers on a bike for $1 a week, helped his dad mow lawns for $5 a yard, and showed houses for tiny commissions. Their family sometimes lived on just $300 a month. That kind of life taught Tom something he would carry into Hollywood: how to keep going even when things didn't go your way. By the time he was 15 in 1960, he started modeling and made $100 a week. But when he joined the National Guard in 1967, he gave up those gigs. He trained for 48 weekends every year, and that discipline stayed with him. In fact, the struggle of knocking on doors and facing rejection shaped him. He faced over 20 failed auditions before anything ever clicked. His early commercials paid little, $500 at most, but he kept going. He credited his upbringing for it. His parents never yelled. They judged people by their last bad decision, not their best excuses. But one memory stayed with him more than anything. Around 1955, when he was just 10, Tom almost drowned. He was swimming at Lake Sherwood, a huge lake in California, when he wandered too far into deep water. He panicked. His father dove in and pulled him out just in time. That moment stayed burned into his mind. Even in movies decades later, he avoided swimming scenes. In Quigley, Down Under, filmed in 1990, he was terrified of jumping into the water, and the fear never left. Strangely, in 2015, his name made headlines again, this time for taking water from a hydrant to keep his avocado farm alive during California's drought. He had to pay over $21,000 in fines, but under it all was still that kid from 1955, terrified of water, afraid of drowning. Again, college didn't go the way he hoped either. In 1963, Tom joined Los Angeles Valley College on a basketball scholarship and averaged 15 points per game in his first year. But the freedom got to him. He skipped classes, partied too much, and focused more on beach volleyball than books. By 1965, his GPA dropped to 1.8 and he dropped out. Years later, he admitted it was a wasted chance. What haunted him most was the feeling of not knowing who he was. His coach once said he could have gone pro in basketball, but he didn't. He chose something harder. He chose Hollywood. He tried to transfer to USC but had to take remedial classes because of his grades. He even got in trouble once for stealing another team's mascot as a prank. He was almost expelled, but that stumble, that sense of shame became fuel. When he finally got into USC in 1965, he kept up the act of being an athlete, but something else was brewing. He began sneaking into drama classes. One day, Professor John Houseman spotted him during a monologue and encouraged him to try real theater. It didn't go well. In his first play, he froze backstage and vomited from stage fright. But he didn't quit. By 1967, he had acted in several campus productions, including one that involved a nude scene, something that drew 500 angry protesters to the campus. He was still playing basketball, averaging 12 rebounds per game, but he was skipping practices for rehearsals. His teammates didn't get it. His coach didn't either. But Tom couldn't help it. He was drawn to acting like it was the only thing that could save him. In 1967, just when things were starting to shift, the draft came. Tom joined the California Army National Guard and served until 1973. He went from private to sergeant. His unit, the 160th Infantry Regiment, trained at Fort Ord under the boiling heat. He earned a marksman badge and once even saved a fellow soldier from a grenade mishap. In 1969, there was a scare. His unit was almost deployed to Vietnam, but protests back home changed the plan. Instead, he was sent to do patrols during the Watts riots. During this time, he grew the mustache that would later become his trademark. Started as a quiet rebellion against the military's clean-cut rules, but it became his signature. After leaving the Guard in 1973, Tom jumped into modeling and commercials to survive. His first real gig was a Pepsi ad in 1967 where he appeared shirtless and earned only $100. He did cigarette ads too, puffing away on horseback for Salem. That caused backlash from anti-smoking groups. During one Chiquita banana ad in 1968, a monkey bit him and he needed 12 stitches. Still, the ad aired to 50 million people. But this attention came with a cost. People saw him as just a pretty face. Casting directors didn't take him seriously. He filmed over 20 commercials by 1970 but couldn't land strong acting roles. It frustrated him. He even burned his old modeling photos in a bonfire in 1980, swearing he'd never go back.